Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson, your host, speaking at you from Sunday, December 14th, 2025, in the space and time continuum. I had an experience this week where I was driving my car a short distance, and then as I got out of the car, for some reason, MSNBC, which is what I usually end up listening to in my car, because I don't drive very much at all. I live very close to where our business is, and so I listen to just a few minutes at most of MSNBC every day. And they were covering something Donald Trump was doing, talking about, saying. And he's just such a fucking idiot that I just cannot take it anymore. And I think you're with me, because I think 99.9 repeating percent of America and the world is also with me. Can't stand the guy's voice anymore. As I shut, the radio shut off, I get out of the car, and the expletives coming out of my mouth were vile and scary, because I had reached my wit's end. And I needed to come up with the most horrific, vile words. And I realized that these are words that I would never say on this podcast, because they are that offensive. They even offend me, and I'm not offended easily, to say the least, which is why I came up with such a creative and colorful array of horrible, vile, disgusting words that came out of my mouth, attributing all of them to basically trying to call Donald Trump a name, but it was a mixture of these words. And since I'm not going to say them, and I bet $100 you want me to say them, what I'm going to do is we're going to have a brief moment of silence here on A Satellite View for you. Now, I want to put Donald Trump in your brain. Listen, we love to listen to him. We love to hear him. We love to hear him. And all the stupid crap that he's saying right now, the horrible, insulting, vile crap, calling people trash and names and all kinds of... Okay, get that in your head, and then we're going to have a moment of silence, and I want you to try and offend me. If you're on YouTube, write some of the words in your comments and try and offend me. I want you to offend yourself. I want you to get it all out. I want you to try and offend me right now, whether you're in your car or in your house or whatever. You're by yourself, right? I want you to come up with the most creative, horrible, and I can hear you already are. You already are. Whoa. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm gonna shut up. Take a couple more seconds. Okay. Wow. You learn a lot about people. All right. I got to say, I'm not actually offended, but those were really good tries. Thank you very much for that. We might have to do that every week, right? So we're going in a little different direction starting this week with the podcast. Now, we're only a week and a half or so away from Christmas, is what some people call it, right? Some people started spelling it Xmas in the 70s just because they didn't want to spell it all out. And some people did it because they don't believe that Christmas is, they think it was, hijacked by the Christian church. So they don't like to include the word Christ in Christmas. I don't care. Whatever you want to do with the holiday, I think the most important thing is we try and enjoy the holiday with the people that we love. And hopefully a lot of those people are members of your family. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And therefore, I hope that you have claimed some independence and don't feel obligated to be with family members that you would rather not see over the holiday period of time. So anyway, I'm hoping the best for everybody during the holiday season. And I'm actually enjoying it. It is uber cold. It got down to, I think, 12 or 13 below zero last night. That usually doesn't happen until January here in Minnesota, but it's happening now in December. But before that, we had a beautiful snow when we probably got about 8 inches of snow on the ground here around the Lake Minnetonka area in Minnesota. And it's the really pretty kind of snow. And I think because of other circumstances going on in my personal life, I'm really enjoying this holiday season, and I hope you are too. And I think part of it is because it's just been such a horrific year because of you-know-who that we just got our feelings out pertaining to this person. And I think we're just all ready. We're ready for a break. We're ready to take it easy. We're ready for some happiness and some joy. And part of it also is that we see him crumbling. We see his administration crumbling. It is happening. But the shift that we're going to make here at this time, and we're leading in, like I said, to the holidays, which also then, we're only 2.5 weeks away from the new year. And I think 2026 is going to be all about doing things differently. I think a lot of things are going to come to a head this week. We have Jack Smith appearing in front of Congress on Wednesday the 17th. We have the deadline for the DOJ to release all of the Epstein files, and the Democrats in Congress have very strategically released some photographs this week. Now, you may have heard about this. There's some weird photographs from the Epstein files that they released that they got from their subpoena to the Epstein estate, not from DOJ. This is kind of a warning shot by the Democrats. Hey, we've got 95,000 photographs. Here's 17 of them. DOJ, we got this, a lot of this stuff already. This is what we're expecting to see. We will be releasing more. This is the tip of the iceberg. That's what the Democrats did this week, and I thought that was good and smart. The Democrats are starting to do better. But, okay, well, let me try and do this in a followable manner. I was talking about the things that are happening this week. Now, some things that happened this last week that were really surprising. I'll tell the story going back to 2010 in the space and time continuum. Michael Steele, the first black RNC chairman. Don't ask me why you would be a Republican if you're black, but Michael Steele does it. He's the chairman, and the 2010 midterms are coming up. And he's asked on camera, are the Republicans going to take back the House in 2010? And he said, well, we're going to be competitive. We're feeling really good about it. We got some good candidates lined up. We got some good money raising going on. And I think the wind is behind us. I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to be competitive. I think we're going to do pretty well. And people like Karl Rove and all the people from that period of time that were always on Fox News, they got really, really pissed at Michael Steele, saying, how can you not be more enthusiastic? We need to raise money. We need to keep people excited about voting in the midterms. Why aren't you just saying, oh, man, we're going to kick the Democrats' ass? Why are you not just, talking like that? So he felt it. And I heard him tell this story. The reason he was telling this story was because on that day, I think it was Thursday, might have been Wednesday, the current RNC chairman, Joe Grutters, I think is how you say his name, he was handpicked by Donald Trump. And he was asked that same question. Hey, chairman of the RNC, are the Republicans going to maintain the House and Senate? And he said, we are set up for a huge defeat. I think we're going to get our asses handed to us, basically. He didn't say get our asses handed to us, but I think he did say we are set up for a huge defeat in 2026. Wow. So Michael Steele basically tells the story. When you're the RNC chair, you are supposed to lie. The Republicans expect you to lie. Of course they expect you to lie. You're the chairman of the party that bases everything on lies. Their only truth is lies. And so he didn't lie. He told the truth. I wonder what kind of hell he's catching. But how does that make you feel, right? The RNC chair says, wow, we're going to get our asses handed to us. That means they're going to have more trouble raising money. They already are having trouble raising money. They're going to have more incumbent Republicans resigning and or retiring. They already have a lot of that going on. They're going to have trouble getting new candidates. They already are having trouble. And they're going to have trouble getting their voters excited to vote. And they are already having trouble with that as well. So that's what's going on. We see it happening. We know that it's crumbling. We see it crumbling, and we know it will crumble. I'm going to go through a couple more stories, but what I'm leading to here is, what do we do in the meantime? Do we just sit here and wait for the final moment? Do we sit here and wait for the entire Trump administration to crumble to the ground? Or do we start planning for what we're going to do next? That's going to be a focus of our second segment. But another thing that's going on right now that is absolutely unbelievable if you were to ask me. Yet again, it's not unbelievable at all. It's like surprise, but no surprise. Over and over and over with Donald Trump and the current day MAGA Republicans. This is a story from Reuters from December 10th. President Donald Trump's administration wants the International Criminal Court to amend its founding document to ensure it does not investigate the Republican president and his top officials. And this is a Trump administration official saying this. So they're also threatening new U.S. sanctions on the court if it does not do this. Wow. This is like saying to the cop that just pulled you over because you were going 100 miles an hour in a 35 zone, and you're saying, listen, if you give me a ticket, I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to further sanction you if you punish me for doing this crime. I mean, what the hell? It's blatant, out in the open. Going on with this Reuters article, if the court does not act on the U.S. demand and two others, dropping investigations of Israeli leaders over the Gaza war and formally ending an earlier probe of U.S. troops over their actions in Afghanistan. So if the court does not also do those two things, then Washington may penalize more ICC officials and could sanction the court itself. So, I mean, you read this and it's like, okay, this is a joke, right? It's not. Sanctioning the court would significantly escalate the U.S. campaign against the ICC, which has long been criticized by U.S. officials, including both Republicans and Democrats, who say the court infringes on U.S. sovereignty. Okay, but to what degree? We have the International Criminal Court for people doing international crimes like Donald Trump is doing, like Netanyahu is doing. Netanyahu asked for a pardon from his prime minister. Or from his president. He's the prime minister, right? I can't remember anymore. But either way, hey, not saying that I did anything wrong, but will you pardon me? Now, both Netanyahu and his wife are set for prison. They have already been, I believe, found guilty on fraud charges, both of them, or else they are due in court and will be found guilty. And Netanyahu seems to know that or predict that himself. Donald Trump seems to know that he is a war criminal, and so are some of his top officials. Wow. Now, here's another thing that I heard this week. An Indiana legislator, I didn't write his name down. I didn't hear his name when I heard this story, but I heard him being interviewed actually by Katie Tur on MSNBC. Made me sit in my car a little longer because it was actually interesting, which is interesting in itself that MSNBC had something actually newsworthy on. So another part of our segment that we're going to go into the future here, talking about media. But this Indiana legislator, a state legislator who voted no on these redistricting lines that Trump was threatening harm to these people if they vote no. And he's threatening to, have somebody primary against them. This Indiana legislator, much like Marjorie Taylor Greene, all of a sudden sounded like he was making sense to me, which Republicans don't do that. They haven't for decades. Republicans have not made sense to me for decades. Marjorie Taylor Greene, in what she's been saying over the last couple months now, makes sense to me. And this Indiana legislator, he said, I don't understand why they're spending all this effort and money against their own people. Instead of spending money to try and make me lose my seat, why don't they spend the money on getting some good candidates for the 2 districts that they want us to gerrymander the Democrats out of? Why don't they just actually put their effort and money into getting 2 good candidates to beat the Democrats? They're spending enough money that they could probably do that, but instead they're spending their money against the people who are on their side, supposedly, against me, a Republican. They want me to lose my seat. This guy was making sense to me. It was pretty incredible. We are going to take a break here, and there still is so much, but this is the point where we're going to make a shift. And I'm going to talk about going a little bit different direction here. When we come back from a short break, you're listening to A Satellite View. We'll be right back. Satellite View. Find our website, satelliteviewpodcast.com, and sign up to be on our mailing list. And find us on YouTube by going to YouTube and searching for Satellite View Podcast, and then subscribe to our channel. It's free. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Blue Sky and Twitter, which I refuse to call X, at Todd Mikkelson. And thank you so much for being here. We're going to get back into it. Now, all of these things are happening. We are seeing Republicans saying that they're going to resign, some of them in January, apparently. It's very possible, and I'm thinking probable, that the Democrats will take charge of the House within a few weeks here, because the Republicans are just leaving, because they're being treated horribly by Donald Trump. So the Republican Party is falling apart. Their own chairman thinks they're going to get their ass handed to them in the midterm elections. What are we going to do then between now and however long that the Democrats take charge of the House? What are we going to do? Are we going to wait? No. We need to figure out what we want to do. Now, first I'm going to talk about the media. I mentioned MSNBC. They're no longer called MSNBC. I guess because their parent company thought they weren't worth much. Less and less people are watching, I call it corporate media. You want to call it legacy media, mainstream media. It would include Fox News. It would include CNN. It would include ABC, CBS, and NBC. MSNBC is now called MS Now. And they have gotten rid of some of their best people. Katie Fang, Alex Wagner, Joanne Reed. I thought those were my favorite people. They kept all the white people. For instance, Ari Melber. I think his show absolutely sucks. I hear it sometimes in the car, and I hate it. I hate it. I turn it off whenever he's on. I think his show is horrible. I think he's a horrible host. And he's annoying as hell. They kept him because he's white. But they got rid of Katie Fang, Alex Wagner, who now are on independent media, is what they're calling it. They're part of independent media. I don't know what else you'd want to call it, alternative media or something like that. But independent media now is where people are turning. Independent media is getting more viewers and members and subscribers than, like MSNBC, now called MS Now, is getting views on television or even online themselves. Katie Fang and Alex Wagner are allowed to curse. And it's much more fun to watch them. It's so much more real. They also cover things that they think is important. They're not hamstrung by their owner, their corporate owner, who doesn't now maybe want to piss off Donald Trump too much. So they're not allowed to report on important things. If you want to watch good reporting on, say, the Epstein files, go watch Katie Fang deliver it. She's part of the Midas Touch Network now. Midas Touch Network has grown into, they almost have 6 million followers on their YouTube channel. They bring the real news right away. They put on clips all day long, multiple clips all day long. You can get all the news that is important through watching them. They still don't go as in-depth as, say, Jason J. Smart goes on the war in Ukraine or Anna from Ukraine. Let's take a brief moment to update. First of all, NATO has freed the sanctioned Russian money to give it to Ukraine. There was a fight going on within NATO. 2 countries were holding out, and NATO found a way to get around that. And now all of the money that was gathered over years through sanctions on Russia have been freed to now give to Ukraine to use against Russia in the war. And Ukraine now is making their own missiles. The newest one is called the Sapsan ballistic missile. It can reach more than 80% of Russia's military production facilities. And Putin, or the regime, is now warning cities where Russians live, where they were told, oh, don't worry, you're safe. You're so far away from Ukraine, you're going to be safe. Well, now they're being warned, hey, keep your eyes on the skies. These missiles are likely coming. Now, Ukraine doesn't just kill people, they kill military